All right, officially good evening to you all. Good afternoon and morning as well.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon to you. All right. This is the Disciplined Agile Meetup. We show up every single month to bring very important and up-to-date topics to you. We're here again just to share one of the most important topic that is making waves, in the marketplace at the moment. But just before we go into that, I have seen in the chat box that a couple of you have dropped where you are joining us from today, which is really great to see. We have a China joining from Texas. Thank you so much for joining us today. Happy for you to be here. We definitely have Andrew from Lagos, Barry from Nairobi, Omotola from Lagos. We have Darius from Nairobi, Kenya, Tuluwani from Lagos as well, Shagun, Fatuma from Kenya, Alberta, Canada. That's precious. And I can go on and on and on and on and on as well. We've got Cupid from Coventry. Thank you for joining all the way from the UK. Palladius from Tanzania. So we have Lusaka, that is Ganizani from Zambia, Lusaka, Zambia. We have Ghana, that's Kofi, that's Felix Kofi from Ghana. So we can see we have a very diverse community and we keep growing. I can go on and on and on. But again, let's come back here so that we can make a good start of today. Currently, we have, a lot of you, of course, Patrick from Connecticut, yes, I cannot but mention that. All right, so. Um, it is a good thing to have you join us today. And so what we're going to do right now is to quickly do a quick introduction and we introduce a speaker and then we go from there. So like I said, this is the Disciplined Agile Meetup where we show up every single month to bring amazing topic and we share with the community. What we always do, our intent and what we bring is what we share will be practical such that you can go to work tomorrow or later today and apply some of the tips. Today is not going to be an exception. So who are we? And let's start with why. We are a dynamic community of champions that actually bring the true value of project management, leadership, and emerging technologies, lean and agile practice to the community. Our mission is to empower professionals and organizations across Africa and beyond, actually, who want to strengthen their capabilities in all these frameworks. And of course, at the end of the day, translate this to measurable results. We actively promote continuous knowledge transfer in project management and leadership, emerging technologies, lean startup, and other lean and agile practices. So if there is an upcoming emerging technology, we want to discuss it so that we can actually apply these things in our professional life. Focus areas for now is agile, of course, project management as a whole, and technology innovation. This is brought to you by Pitt Lauren Consulting. Pitt Lauren Consulting is an authorized training partner with PMI. And if you have any training needs, leadership, project management, and beyond, reach out to Pitt Lauren Consulting. We will be happy to take you further. We'll be happy to help you out. And so, who do we have today? And that is where I'll be bringing Precious on to do justice and introduce our speaker today. Precious, I believe you are online for us.
Yes, I am.
Oh, good.
All right. So it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Achana Chowdhury, Vice President at Deutsche Bank. She has over 20 years of experience in IT projects and portfolio management across Fortune 500 companies. Achana is widely recognized for her expertise in strategic execution, PMO leadership, and agile transformation, having led major initiatives including banking mergers and organizational transformation programs. She's also a respected speaker, published contributor, PMP mentor, and contributor to global PMI standards, with presentations delivered at international PMI conferences and chapters worldwide. Her achievements have earned her multiple industry recognitions, including honors in Women in Tech and PMI Leadership Awards. We're very excited to have you here today, Achana. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Precious, and thank you so much, Pete. Very, very happy and excited to be here today. It keeps on talking. When we keep on talking, right? It's about emerging technology. So when I thought like what could be for today, and definitely it's the buzzword AI. So I really wanted to talk more on AI because wherever we go, we talk and we understand. So the more the knowledge we share, the more we get to know each other as well. So that's what about. I'm so happy, so glad to be here. Let me share my screen and then we can start on this.
Definitely. Go for it.
Thank you. All right, so let me know once this is visible. Good.
Yes, we can see, yep, it's visible.
Perfect. So I would like to take the session first and then definitely drop in your chats, drop in your questions in the chat so that we can go through each one of them once we are done with the session. So hello, everyone, and welcome to Disciplined Agile Meetup. I would like to first thank each one of you for your time today and Pete for this wonderful opportunity. In the next 1 hour, what we are going to talk, we will be discussing the topic, as I mentioned, the buzzword, the Gen AI itself, which is very near to each one of us. Over, say, the last 18 months, something extraordinary has happened in the world of technology. It's generative AI. Generative AI has done something that almost no technology has ever achieved before. And we are also trending to get into more and more of it as and when we talk, whether it is Gen AI or agentic AI. So it has entered into every profession at the same time. Whether it is engineers using it to write codes, doctors, they are using it to assist diagnosis, designers. Have you ever thought all the creative concepts, ideas, and even project managers like us, we are using it to analyze risk and produce reports as fast as what we had never thought that we could have ever done. So most people believe that this revolution started with one tool, and that is ChatGPT. But that's not the case, right? The reality is not that. That is not what the reality is. What we see today through ChatGPT is only the surface layer of something that is building up on much larger aspects. And what is that? Behind the scene, this generative AI is evolving into something which is far, far more powerful. That is, there is a system, there are agents, AI systems that can reason, AI agents that can perform the task autonomously. And autonomous workflows, what we talk about, they can run processes. So when this capability meets the human creativity and the decision making, what we as a human should do, it changes how the organization completely adopt. So let me ask you one question, right? What if AI could do more than just answering questions like what we try to do in ChatGPT, right? AI could help design solutions. AI could run part of workflows. AI can analyze complex informations. AI can collaborate with you and become your digital teammate. So this is the transformation we are going to explore throughout this 1 hour. So let's go through each one of them one by one. and it's going to be very interesting. So when most people think about generative AI, they immediately think about one thing, as I mentioned, could be ChatGPT or Perplexity or even Gemini. So it's kind of the LLM models what we think, but it is it the tool and this particular tool that millions of people interact with every day to generate text or write emails or summarize information? Is that the only thing? We all know that no, it isn't. It is actually just the visible tip of much larger technological shifts that we ever are undergoing. So let me explain it to you. And that's where we have this iceberg. So consider this. The top one in the iceberg is the AI chatbot, the text generation, what we interact as a application. So layer one here, which is AI agents. This AI agent, instead of just answering questions, the next generation of AI system performs tasks autonomously. And that's what they are called. They are the research information. They analyze the data. They generate reports. They can even trigger actions across the system. AI that doesn't just answer, it acts. So most people think AI is like a very smart search engine, but AI agents are completely different. They can make decisions as well. They can take actions. They can use the tools. It can complete goals and that too autonomously. ChatGPT answers the questions. An AI agent could book your flight. It could reschedule your meeting. It could update your calendar. It could email your team about the delays. And that too without you touching anything. So it's something that you just run it and you get your work done. The real world examples I would like to give. So as and when we will go, I will try to provide as much as examples to get those clarified as well. Say, for example, AI recruiting assistant, which are used for screening candidates and scheduling interview. These are the agents and customer support agents, which are used, and these customer support agents are used to resolve ticket autonomously. So that is all done by the AI agent here itself. But how does that AI agent work? They work using the autonomous workflows. That is, organizations are beginning to integrate AI directly into business processes. Imagine different workflows where AI can detect a problem and it recommends the solution and trigger actions automatically. So this is where AI moves from being a tool to becoming part of operational engine of a company. Entire business processes which runs with a minimal human intervention here, and that's what we are talking about. It's like autonomous workflow is like multiple AI system connected together, understanding information or triggering actions and learning continuously. Imagine an insurance claim company. So you have your customer, they upload accident photos. AI analyzes the damage. AI checks the policy eligibility. Fraud detections are run automatically via another AI agent. Payment approvals are triggered and customer receives updates in real time. So this is not like a single chatbot. It is AI with different features and different AI agents orchestrating together, combining and completing the entire workflow. And that's how this entire tool happens as an autonomous AI agent workflow itself. The next layer, which is called a multi-model AI. This multi-model AI is now becoming very popular, which involves text, image, video, and voice. AI that can see, it can hear, it can speak, and it can understand the context like humans. Early AI only would have understood the text. That was like a couple of years back. But modern AI, as of today, has started understanding multiple form of information all simultaneously. You show AI a spreadsheet. You provide a dashboard screenshot. You provide a video clip or even a spoken question and leave it with AI to interpret the visuals, understand the speech, summarize pattern, and respond conversationally. And how does that happen? That happen via this particular multimodal AI. Now, the next generation of AI is not the one that you just leave it in the chat box. It will become live in cameras. It will become live in microphone. With the way how we are moving, with the workflows, what we are creating, it will become live on vehicles, factories, hospitals. And that's where we are evolving towards. The next layer is the enterprise AI platform themselves. Now, this particular operating system this is the operating system of the AI era. This is the hidden infrastructure layer most people never see. Companies are building enterprise scale AI ecosystem that combine governance, security, maybe data pipeline, automations, model managements, compliances, and business integrations. Like a bank, if a bank is running, it runs with fraud detection AI, risk analysis AI, even customer service AI, or compliance AI, or forecasting. So all of these together forms into one enterprise AI platform, and that is the power grid. And that's how things are all moving across. But when we talk about this enterprise AI platform, now is the time to talk about becoming domain experts. And that's on the domain specific AI model. AI experts trained for one industry, one problem, and one mission. Generally, what happens is general AI knows a little about everything. But these domain specific AIs are the ones that is trained for a specialized industry knowledge. Like in healthcare, you train AI on medical imaging, or in legal area, train it on the contract and regulation, or in financial AI, train it on the trading and risk data. The future may not belong to one giant AI model. It may belong to millions of such specialized experts. And as a project manager and more into how we are leading towards, it's also a time for us to think on how to get into those kind of specialized expertise. The final layer is the human AI collaboration system. The most powerful future is not like human versus AI here, right? It is human with AI. And this is the deepest part of the iceberg, what we talk about. It is the most important part because we as human provide judgment, ethics, human in the loop, empathy, creativity, and strategic thinking. So AI definitely provides speed, scale, pattern recognitions, non-stop analysis, and we as human, we provide the human intervention to it. This is very interesting. And all of this is definitely, they work together. When there is one chatbot, when there is just one chatbot which is triggered, agents, workflows, multimodal, enterprise AI, domain specific, and specifically with your human AI collaboration, all of this is sitting in that loop. AI has not evolved. It has not evolved in singles and very easy steps. It has progressed through distinct waves of capability. So understanding these waves helps us where we are today, and it will also help us to understand where we are heading towards. The first one over here, what we see on the evolution of AI, this is the predictive intelligence part. The first wave of modern AI, which is focused on predictions and analytics. Organizations used machine learning to analyze historical data, and predict future outcomes. Examples are recommendation engines, right? Open Netflix and you will see the recommend all predictive intelligence. Open Facebook, you will find that there are certain fraud detections, there are demand forecasting. AI was powerful, but it was largely analytical rather than creative at one point of time. Then we moved into the second wave, which is generative AI. This is the second wave, which was introduced something fundamentally when it came in. It was like very fundamentally new for all of us, and where we were talking on AI could now create content rather than just analyzing the data and providing a predictive analysis like text generation, image generation, software code, or marketing content, right? The certain LLMs that made this capability accessible to millions of people almost overnight. And that's what we all are now using, and we are becoming so dependent on these LLMs. The third one now, this is the multimodal intelligence. This particular intelligence is where AI, it expands AI understanding across multiple form of informations. You can now combine text, visual data, voice, video, and even structured data together. This allow AI to understand complex situations much more like we human do. And this helps us analyze documents, charts, and even spoken instructions simultaneously. You ask and you get it. And the last one, which is autonomous AI system. This is the fourth wave. This is where we begin to act rather than we respond. This includes AI agents completing tasks, AI-driven workflows, and even automated decisions. So AI begins to function less like a tool here and more like a digital collaborator. But the important thing for us over here is to understand where are we over here. As of today, we are still on phase 3, which is multimodal AI. There is so much to do on the wave 4, which we have started with, but we are still not there, which means the most transformative stage, which is this autonomous AI, is still ahead of us. Imagine how fast we are going to grow once we have and we are into this phase. Let me ask you one question, right? And think on it. If AI can analyze and if AI can create, it can understand, it can create the autonomous, and you are able to create your AI agents, you are able to clone yourself on an AI agent. How will that change the organizations? And how are you, so the organizations where you are working, how are you going to operate on those? It is going to be very interesting in the coming years, and it is definitely going to have the major transformations. So the most transformative stage is still ahead, and these are something that we are all looking forward to for sure. Well, while we talk on these and how we are evolving, for decades, technology has acted primarily as tools. The one over here on the left-hand side is the one what we all know. That is which we have gone through. That is the traditional tools, how we had functioned as a PM, as a Scrum Master, or into our management role, or wherever we have worked on. This side of the tool is the AI digital teammates. Now, this is completely, and this is where the transformation has started beginning. So we use software to help us complete tasks faster, but the responsibility for thinking, planning, and decision making always remained with humans like us. So generative AI is generally to change that model. And we are moving from a world of tools, as I mentioned, to this AI digital teammates. What is AI digital teammates here? This is not simply like a software that waits for instructions. It can analyze your information, it can generate insights, it proposes solutions and assist in decision makings. So in some cases, these AI can even complete multi-step tasks. So an example that could be relatable to workplace, right? In a project environment, an AI assistant could analyze project risk. It can summarize meeting discussions. It can generate weekly reports or even suggest mitigation strategies. So that frees the leaders and team to focus on strategy, creativity, and even problem solving. So this does not remove the human in the role, right? It is actually making it more important. That is, human provide context, judgment, ethics, or even creativity. And AI definitely provides your speed or data processing, pattern detections, how exactly it can do better. So ultimately, the time is saved. And that's what it is. Yeah. I would like to give, as when I started, we were talking on that AI has transformed and it has grown into every industry simultaneously. So this slide is not new to anyone here, right? So, but this is something which I wanted to go through as in reality, like how organization across nearly every industries are already using AI to transform how work gets done. Something on the healthcare. And I saw it in one of the healthcare here in US where the doctors have started, and it was very interesting for me to see where the doctors have started using generative AI, and it is helping physicians reduce the administrative workload by automatically generating clinical documentations and summarizing even patient records. Now, while these are all autonomously done, the doctors are now spending more time with patient. They are spending more time on getting the human interaction rather than the paperwork. And the paperworks are all now being moved to the machine. So that's actually good, right? In financial services, AI systems are helping analyze risk. It helps in detecting fraud patterns and assist with regulatory compliances. These systems can process massive volumes of financial data much faster than the human themselves. And like in software development, in software engineering, generative AI is accelerating development cycles. No need to learn codes. You ask for it, you get it. So generate the codes using this AI. Suggest improvement. Look into how exactly that could be improved. Look into how faster it can be to detect the bugs, and look into how faster it can automate the testings and different scenarios. So ultimately, it is something that we are all saving times and we are working towards a better tomorrow. Customer support has also been transformed. AI assistant can provide real-time responses. It is all about personalized support, multilingual assistance. This allows organization to deliver 24 by 7 customer engagement, and that's awesome. That's what we want. Marketing and creativity, teams can quickly generate marketing campaigns, design concept, product descriptions, and even visual assets. This technology is also changing how projects are managed, right? As a project manager, we can use AI to automate project reporting, risk analysis, meeting summaries, and even schedule insights. So, generative AI is not limited to one industry at all, we all see. It is becoming a horizontal technology, transforming every sector simultaneously. Very, very interesting. While generative AI creates enormous opportunities, many organizations struggle with one key question: where do we begin? Whenever I go and I speak with different people, the very first question is, if they have not started with this transformation, they always ask me, where do I start? I'm really not sure. My organization is not ready. So, successful AI adoption requires more than just deploying new tools, it requires organizational readiness. And to help organizations approach this transformation systematically, we can think about AI readiness through 5 critical pillars. And these 5 critical pillars, number one, is the strategy itself. Organizations must ask, what problems are we trying to solve with AI? Where can AI create the greatest value? So, AI initiative should always align with business objectives of the organizations. And it's not just technology experimentation. There are times when it is bottom up or top up approach. So, organizations would like to go and implement AI, but management is really not sure on what exactly needs to be done. And that's where it comes like not only the push from the top up, so it should be from the bottom up as well to understand and to provide data on the strategy. And that's how it grows. This pillar 2 is talking about the data. Data is very important. AI models rely heavily on high quality, well governed data. Organization must focus on data quality, data availability, and even data governance, the regulatory compliances. Without strong data foundation, AI initiative will definitely struggle. So the very start is to look into the strategy, to look into the vision and understand the business objective, match it with data standards, regulations, what can work, what is the availability, how exactly it could be done. And based on that, it comes the third pillar, which is the technology. So organization needs the right infrastructure to support AI capability. And this includes AI platform, cloud infrastructure could be, system integrations. Technology should enable the scalability and automation. So it's not about only being saying that we would like to do it. It comes with technology. It also comes with talent. And that's where AI adoption requires a workforce that understands how to collaborate with AI system. And that's where organizations should start talking on AI literacy across different teams, across different functions, different departments, training employees and training oneself to use AI effectively. Getting into that part is very essential today. Building interdisciplinary into that team. So, and the final pillar, this is the governance. That is, as AI becomes more powerful, organization must ensure the responsible use as well. That is, include ethical AI practices, look into the transparency, look into the privacy protection, and even regulatory compliances. So, organizations that succeed in this AI era will not be the ones only that simply adopt these tools. They are the ones who build a structure foundation for AI innovation. So, right, starting from not only the strategy or just building the technology, it is important for all of us to understand the next step for us to be literate into the AI programs, to understand how others in the team also understands the same language, get into the different skill set, understand the governance, understand the data, and that's how it all joins together to form a particular framework and deploy the tools what is required. Well, I'd like to move into the next slide, because up until now we have been talking more on like what kind of technology has mainly helped or how we have automated on the physical work, etc., right? But AI is beginning to augment cognitive work as well. The way we think, the way we decide, create, and solve problems. It was not like that earlier. In the past, professionals spent enormous time. We used to spend so much of time in gathering information, in organizing even our ideas, or summarizing reports, or collecting different dots manually, and then produce a report. AI has now accelerated that process, right? And that's what the strength is. So, this particular strength, what we are talking about, is actually not AI strength. We as humans should start using this strength to show how fast we can actually look into and accelerate our work. Like an example, we as a project manager, we can ask AI, like, if there is any risk, right? What risks are emerging across the portfolio? So those kind of analysis can be done via the right tools. Summarizing the stakeholder concerns, or even if you have a small tool, if it is a LLM or if it is even like a Microsoft Copilot, it's all about understanding and summarizing the stakeholders' risk, concerns, and creating the dependency and even creating a plan of what exactly needs to be done for the next week. So instead of starting from the scratch, we can start from all these insights and create the next steps to it. So AI will augment this decision support, and from intuition, say intuition driven decisions to the intelligence assistant decision. So that's what we would like to go for. Today, we as a leader, what do we have? We have so much of data around us. We have so many dashboards. We have so many variables. But what we don't have time. AI helps synthesize all of these complexity in less time. As I gave an example, like in about healthcare, AI analyzes thousands of patients' records there. It identifies the pattern and recommends possible diagnosis, and the doctor decides. But it's the doctor augmented intelligence, and that's how it all works. Another example could be like marketers, right? Marketer decides and they generates campaign concepts. They generate the slogans, visuals, video scripts, customer personas. It's all done in minutes now. A designer can iterate 50 ideas instead of 5. Software engineer can prototype so fast. Researchers used to mean like hours of search. They used to do. They used to read, filter, summarize, and connect all these information together. They used to gather. But now you can use this tool and compress everything so dramatically. Researchers can identify the pattern across decades and of scientific papers. And that's where the analysis can go. So what's the big shift here? The competitive advantage, it's no longer access to informations. We have informations. It is about asking better questions, knowing how to interpret insights, and making that smarter decisions. So imagine for the first time in history, humanity is building the system that can predict and that can participate in knowledge, what can work alongside us. AI may actually become the most powerful professional amplifiers we ever as human have created. And that is for ourselves. The question is no longer whether AI will change the work, how we are doing, but the question is how we evolve alongside this tool, alongside this strategy, and what exactly we need to do. That's what we need to think and work on. Think on it. So while we talk on this, there are so many times when we all speak about being responsible AI. But what is this responsible AI? Responsible AI means designing, developing, and using AI system in a way that is ethical, trustworthy, transparent, secure, fair, and even accountable. It ensures AI benefits people and organization without causing unintentional harms. That's what responsible AI is. It answers critical questions like, can we trust the output? Is the data secure? Is the system biased? And can these decisions be explained? An example I would like to provide here is imagine a company using AI to screen job applications. The AI reviews skills, resumes, experiences, and look into the perfect candidate or see which candidate would fit into the requirement. What would happen if we do not have responsible AI? The system may unintentionally favor certain demographic, because historical hiring data was biased. And the result out of it could be an unfair hiring, even a legal risk or reputational damage to the organization. But with responsible AI, organization can have audit training data. They can test for bias, they can ensure and explain, and they can keep human review in hiring decisions and continuously monitor the outcomes. There are four pillars of this responsible AI. The first one here is the transparency. Can we explain how AI made the decision? That's what the transparency is about. Accountability. This means who is responsible for AI outcome? I get this question very often. And when I was going through my PMXPO this March, there were so many people who always asked me this question, who is responsible for AI outcomes? And it is we. We know that we are dependent on AI, but it is human who is responsible for AI outcomes. Fairness. Is the AI treating people equally? That's something that we need to think of. And security and privacy. Is this sensitive data protected? Well, so out of all this, and all of this needs a human oversight. And that's what the responsible AI also comes in picture. When we talk on this, we also are looking into the bias, right? Bias where AI learns from historical data, and history itself if the history itself may contain bias, then AI systems are only as good as the data they are trained on. If the training data contains historical inequality or incomplete representation or flawed assumptions, AI can unintentionally amplify those biases at scale. So we need to be very careful on this. The security. AI creates enormous opportunity and enormous new attack surfaces as well. What does that mean? It is like organization adopt AI. They also introduce data leakage concerns, intellectual property exposures, or even privacy vulnerabilities. Hallucinations. Wow, this is my favorite. And we all have seen this. AI can sound extremely confident. You ask for it, just go to ChatGPT and ask something. And just create your scenario and you would see that it is providing a wrong answer, and that too with extreme confidence. So that's what is all hallucination, one of the most misunderstood AI risk. Hallucination happens when AI fabricates the fact. It invents references. And it might be because it doesn't have the reference. So that's the RAG, right? So if there is no RAG provided, AI starts assuming and it hallucinates and tries to provide you the information with extreme confidence. It generates inaccurate outputs and produces a misleading conclusions. That is what we all need to be careful about. Governance. As AI adoption grows, companies need clear policies, guardrails, accountability, and structures. So without governance, it is like employee using AI inconsistently, compliance risk will increase, security gaps would emerge, and trust erodes. So this is also one of the important slide I wanted to touch base on. There are two things. One is like, how do we bring AI into our organization? I keep getting this kind of questions, and that's where the 5 pillars were about. This risk, ethics, and governance is something where because we human we have a pattern, and it's like we tend to believe everything, and that's like in no time. And we human have started, and we have seen that we human have started believing the machine so much that we forget this risk, ethics and governance, and we just go into the hallucination what the machine provides. That should not be the case. Well, While we talk on the essentials, so this slide is what I created because I keep getting these kind of questions, and I wanted to touch base on this as well. So it's about 5 essential skills on the AI era, how we and what exactly we need to understand. AI literacy. This does not mean becoming a data scientist, right? It means understanding what AI can do, what it cannot do, how it makes decisions and where risk exists, and how to develop this AI literacy. Learn the fundamental. Learn the fundamental and concepts like machine learning. Understand generative AI. Understand what AI agents are. Get into large language models, automations, hallucinations, biases. These are certain concepts that we all should start knowing about. Use AI regularly. The fastest learning comes through experimentations. Try using AI for summarizing outputs, reports. Brainstorm your ideas as much as you can. Create presentations, create your email generations, look into data, do data analysis. Get your job easy via the meeting notes. If you would like to run research via this system. So stay informed. AI evolves rapidly. Follow AI newsletters. Look into various podcasts. Connect with industry leaders who talks about this. Understand technology updates, enterprise AI case studies. Go through and understand the AI case studies. The more you look into these, the better we all will grow for future. The second one is on the prompt engineering. This prompt engineering is becoming a modern workplace skill. And it's not only on the workplace, for sure, it's day to day. There are slides which I definitely would like to go through on the prompt engineering, on how exactly we can do and what can make our prompts better. The quality of AI output depends heavily on the clarity, context, structure, and instructions. How do we develop this prompt engineering skill? We need to learn a structured prompting. Good prompts typically include role, goal, context, format, and constraints. If we include all of this together, it will avoid less of hallucinations. Build reusable prompt frameworks. Create personal templates for research, brainstorming, maybe summaries and strategies, and risk analysis. Do a critical thinking. So this critical thinking is ability to question and validate interpreting the AI outputs. So as AI generates more information, human judgment becomes even more valuable. As I mentioned, AI hallucinates, it oversimplifies, it misinterprets the context and generate biased output. So critical thinking becomes the safeguard. How do we develop this critical thinking? Is never accept AI output blindly. Always ask. Whenever you get the response, just ask, is this data accurate, or what exactly is the assumption on this? What is really missing? So with that, it means you need to have your data awareness. Understand the importance and the quality and ethics of data. AI runs on data, like poor data creates poor AI output. Bias, security risk, and flawed decisions that could be made. And how do you develop the data awareness? By understanding the data fundamental itself, that is structured versus unstructured data, or even privacy. Looking into the security and bias in data sets. Become data conscious in daily work. Where did this data come from? Is it really reliable? Is it current? Is it representative? Is it secure? The moment you understand the data behind the scene, that's where it is about awareness. Learn basic analytic literacy here. You do not need to become like a data scientist, as I mentioned, but understand the dashboards, trends, correlation, KPI, visualizations. There are so many things across industry.
Yes.
Understand ethical
Yes.
implications. Data misuse can create privacy concern, may have trust erosion or reputational damages. And the unique human capability, which is AI cannot fully replicate, right? So AI can generate content, but humans create meaning, originality, empathy, vision, storytelling, and culture. And how do you develop the human creativity here? Focus on idea generation. Use AI to accelerate execution while human focus on innovations, imaginations, strategic thinking, and conceptual breakthroughs. So, because while we talk through all of these, expand your cross disciplinary learning. Creativity often emerges from connecting unrelated ideas here. Could be exploring technology, understanding it better, maybe designing or business, and have a practical curiosity intentionally. So that's an intentional curiosity of what if, why not, what is missing here, what could be reinvented, how can this be made better. So use AI for those, for a use it as a brainstorming partner, maybe a digital assistant or a simulation tool or even an ideation engines. There is so much to do. Well, this particular slide, this is an anatomy of power prompt, which we call it as a pair framework. That's where this can be used, and it talks about prompt engineering because the quality of your AI output is directly tied to the quality of your input, right? So P here. So whenever we do the prompt engineering, this is the framework which can work out, and it has been working out. It's like P. Think of it P as a role, the person who should act as. So that could be like a senior PM or a risk consultant. A is for action. That's what you want to do when you work on the prompts. So could be a draft, could be analyze, could be summary, could be a recommendation. R is for relevant context. So this particular relevant context could be talk about the industry, what kind of project type or what is the constraint, who are the stakeholders. So it's giving the relevant context. And then expectation. What would be the format? What's the tone? What's the length or output structure you need? So this particular framework, combine it together, and that forms the pair framework, and that's on the prompt engineering. So this framework alone will provide you the 10x quality of your AI outputs if you use it the right way. AI is not like a mind reader, we all know. It's like a pattern matcher. So the more context you give, the more value you get, and the less token you will use. So this is kind of like I gave as an example here. This is a clear, like, tell me some risk for a new software project. And it's something where there is no context at all. It just talks about some risk for any kind of new software project. AI can hallucinate, AI can provide whatever information it has because it was not provided a proper reference. You may fix this prompt using a pair framework. It could be better than this for sure. I just wrote using it of like rewrite this for a project involving a global cloud migration for a financial bank. It could be like a prompt where you say act as a senior risk consultant specializing in cloud migrations. You can identify 10 high impact risk for a global cloud migration project for a financial bank institute. Include probability, impact, and recommendations. Recommend the mitigation strategy in a table format. And that's how the prompt can actually provide you the summary, something you take it to the committee wherever you would, or to what you would like to have. This is an interesting framework. While we talk on the prompt engineering, this is an example of how this works. Like AI is not just about asking questions, or it's not about It's about learning how to communicate effectively with the model. There are three kinds of like prompting what we have. One is zero shot prompting. It's no example needed, right? There is no example that you provide. You just tell AI what to do. Zero shot prompting is the simplest form of prompting. Anyone without any context, you just give instruction and context rules and desired outcome, and without providing any example at all. What AI does, AI relies entirely on its training and pattern recognition. It's like an experienced employee to do something they have done thousands of times before. So you are treating AI as that. You don't need to teach them from scratch. I've given an example as well of a zero shot prompts, like you are a helpful email assistant. Write a professional out of office reply for someone on vacation from June 10 to June 17. Keep it friendly. Mention they will respond and they return and provide. So it's there is no context. It is pretty easy and it's just like straightforward task what we are doing. When to use this kind of zero shot prompting? This is very common and straightforward task, but the speed when the speed matters, when zero shot is often the fastest prompting approach you need, you simply would describe what you want and you move on. When the model already understands the domain, modern AI models have been trained on enormous amount of content already. There is no need of training it again and again for the same thing. Emails, articles, report, conversations, they already recognize many common patterns. And zero shot prompting is powerful on those kind of scenarios because it lowers the barrier of AI adoption. Anyone can start using AI immediately with natural languages. But that is not the case with one shot or few shot. One shot prompting here is when you are able to provide one example, and that's enough. Show the AI one example and it learns the pattern. One shot prompting adds a single demonstration. So it's like instead of telling AI what you want, you also show it the structure, how you want, or even the tone, rhythm, and style. It's like telling a new employee, here is one example of how to do this thing. And that single example becomes like a template. So when to use one shot is when style matters, when you have a tone, when you need a structure or formatting. Slightly unusual task as compared to zero shot prompting, when instructions alone may not be enough, when consistency is important and marketing, executive communications, and content generations are used. Here I have given an example of a wireless mouse, example like teaching. So this is like you are a product description writer. Write a product description that follows this style where the product is a wireless mouse. The description, click without cables. This wireless mouse gives you freedom to move, precision to work, and battery life that lasts months, not days. Your task just got cleaner. Now you write this description and it's like a noise cancelling headphone, etc. So well, this is just an example, but I've tried providing a wireless mouse example here. So this is teaching like short hook, benefit driven phrasing, kind of a rhythmic structure and punchy ending. That's how it is. And the AI understands not just what to write, it will tell you how to write, etc. And that's one shot. Another example here is on this few shot prompting. This one is teaching through multiple examples, 2 to 5 examples, yeah, as much as you would like to provide. It's a simple analogy. It's like training through example instead of instructions. And when to use this, it's on the complex or domain specific task, especially when nuances are matters. It could be for highly consistent formatting when style is difficult to explain. And I gave an example over here as a Instagram. You're an Instagram social media caption writer, and then you created various prompts. First one was the image of a coffee cup on a desk where the caption was like Monday Fuel. That first sip hits different when you know what you are working towards. Then again, another second image, another third image, and you're training. You are training the AI, the pattern through multiple examples. And that's what is about prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is not about learning complicated commands, but it's learning how to communicate intent clearly, providing context effectively, and guide AI. So organizations and professionals who master this prompting gains a massive advantage because in this AI era, the quality of output depends on the quality of instruction, and it's like a total science itself, like a new subject that people study on this as well. Well, almost near the end, where I would like to even talk on various like businesses are moving from AI assisted operation to AI driven operations, right? Today, human initiates most workflows and AI supports them. But increasingly, AI agents coordinates operations, they manage workflow, optimize supply chain, monitor risk. What is this AI assistant decision making? It's every executive will have an AI strategic advisor. It's like that. It's leaders today, if they are overwhelmed by complexity, market volatility, or even massive data, AI increases that functions by providing a predictive engine or a simulation engine. That's like a very helpful tool. Hyper automation of these workflow. That's where we are moving towards. These are all our next waves. Automation is evolving from isolated task to entire ecosystem. The next wave is not just automating the repeated task. We are automating coordinations, analysis, approvals, and every employee may have their own AI copilot, as I mentioned, right? We need to start learning how do we create our own AI copilot. In the future, engineers, marketers, doctors, project managers, analysts, executives, they may each work alongside personalized AI systems that would be tailored to their role, expertise, and goals to make our work much faster, much evident, because there are so much to do. We are entering a new era where human intelligence, human imaginations will be amplified by these intelligent machines. The question is not whether AI will change how we work, it is already changing. The real question is how prepared we are to lead this transformation. So, with this, I would like to end. Pete, thank you so much. And this is my LinkedIn code. I would like to get connected with each one of you. Thank you.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. This is great, Achana. This is really, really a great presentation. And you can see the clap coming in from the community. Very informative, very, very informative. Also, very intriguing, preparing us for the world of work in the future. I like the idea of personalized AI agent. I don't know what that will look like, but something specifically built for me as as a professional. This is really great. So I want to personally thank you, and as a community, thank you also for really, really bringing this to us. It has opened our mind, mind, to really know what might be coming in the future, where we're at, and where we're coming from in terms of AI. Right. So, um, there are quite a number of questions that we would like to go through. Some people have put those questions in the chat, of course. You can still ask some questions, but we are time poor at the moment. We will take a few of them. And this is where I will be welcoming a member of the team, Louise, to actually help us with those questions that has been captured. But before we go into that, everybody, I don't need to prompt you, to connect with Achana, right? You can connect with her right now, scan the QR code, or even simply search for her on LinkedIn and connect. This is one thing that we kind of, talk about a lot in this community. we connect with each other, we support each other. But again, when you have someone that can actually point in the right direction in an area that is in vogue, please do yourself, a favor and connect. All right, let's go to you, Louise. Lead us in some of the questions that we have in the chat.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Also, thanks to Akana for this great presentation in the lecture. I've actually seen different comments. Most of them, they're actually appreciating this presentation, and the feedback is good. And most of us, we enjoyed this. So I can go directly to some questions raised from chats. Our colleagues again just point out another new topic. I just point that let us discuss quantum computing next session. I'm not sure if maybe you can comment on this.
Yeah, that is of course I'm talking about Gen AI and agentic AI. Quantum computing is something which is really coming up, and it's very important. It's very important for us to know the quantum. It's like a new paradigm. It's a new paradigm of computation that actually uses principle of so-called quantum mechanics. It's like the physics governing atoms or subatomic particle, but there is so much. It is so powerful. It's kind of optimizations of so much of problem. Whether we talk about crypto, so cybersecurity being one of them, where this could be used, or even the drug discovery or molecular simulations or optimization. It's a very interesting topic on artificial intelligence and machine learning, because it definitely will bring speed to the pattern recognitions and improving the large data set analysis, enhancing our neural network optimization. It's kind of a very big topic for sure. And I would definitely, Pete, I would love to talk on the quantum computing also, like for the next session, whenever it is possible. I definitely would love to. So it's a very interesting topic.
No worries, we can plan something in the future. The next couple of months are actually taken, but again, it's a very, very important topic. We will love to hear back from you on that aspect. Thank you.
For sure.
Yeah.
And thanks for the question. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So there is another also, I think, question raised by Palandis Kamugisha. And the question was, so ChatGPT falls under generative AI? It was like, wants to know more if ChatGPT is under generative AI.
Yeah, so ChatGPT definitely falls under generative AI, and all these like LLMs. Yeah, different kind of LLMs. They are all generative AIs. What is generative AI? Generative AI is where we talk on the creative contents. That's where generative AI comes in picture. So ChatGPT is one of the tool in generative AI. That's what it is. Yep. There are so much on this, right? When we talk on, so as when I was talking through the slides, so I literally mentioned because generative AI, because in this session I wanted to cover Gen AI topic, and that's where I mentioned ChatGPT. But there is more on this, which is like agentic AI and building in agents and the workflows, etc. So that's another part of AI which is completely different. So yeah, both of them are two separate topic itself.
Great. Human judgment AI can't do. We all agree that. I think we talk about that. We need also to be human responsible when we're using AI application and so on. We agree with this, but there was another interesting question related to healthcare. How do we check for accuracy, especially in radiology reports? I think colleagues Natalie tried to respond to this question in the chat, But I think if you have some additional insight, you can comment. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for responding to this chat. And it is a very important question for sure, because when we talk on AI and when we talk on these patterns as how we are actually moving, um, healthcare is one of the most important sector where we definitely need accuracy. Yeah, it's because of the diagnosis, the treatment, and it is for the patient's safety. This is a very, very important sector itself. How accuracy the data can be checked, it could be on the ground truth. It may become that it should be with the expert radiologist consensus as well, right? Or how the pathology. So as of now, so we all know that we get the report. That report, say for example, if it is a chest CT, or it's on the pulmonary, or so those reports needs to have a peer review process. It needs to go through that peer review process. That is a kind of common check, because incomplete or incorrect impressions may have a very that's not good. Yeah, that's not good for any. The AI may detect inconsistencies between images and the reports we have. That is where it can happen. So that validation needs to be done. There are times, how do you have the structure reporting validations? When we talk on that, it it is via there are lots of processing that happens. It could be on the standardized terminology what hospital needs to maintain to reduce the ambiguity. There is also another very important concept, and that's on the natural language processing. When why do or how do we use that natural language processing? It's on consistency checks. Healthcare organization, they use this NLP, natural language processing, to detect the contradictory statements, or even to ensure the findings match impressions, etc. So, and then the system also flags. So it is not only like doubting the system, but we are using the system to doubt or to understand and to validate the report as well. So it's kind of a double check that if that can also happen via the system itself, and the system can flag those mismatch. There are lots of accuracy metrics that are being created and being maintained. It's not big. I'm not from a medical background. Yeah, so I'm also an engineering, and now into PM and all those kind of roles, but it comes via uh, discussions and researches with various all about networking. So that's how I'm talking about, based on my discussions with different doctors and whom I know. So future of the accuracy validation in healthcare, it is based on the kind of the emerging areas where I also spoke on the multi-model techniques, and that's where I was trying to bring lots of examples on healthcare industry. It is on images, it is on clinical notes, it is on labs, and using these multi-model techniques in this emerging area together, and then tra- training the via machine learning, training the model itself via continuous learning system, and providing the real time quality standards. That's how it is. So it is definitely important, but yes, the data set bias and different rare condition needs to be looked into very properly. So that those kind of things are definitely recommended. Very important question.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Other comment, we're just supporting your presentation, like the one from Olimuyina that say with domain-specific AI, PMP has to learn a lot. But there is also another from Chizoba. Will generative AI be able to make autonomous decision from the insights they gather and analyze without human context for intervention? I think this also has been discussed.
Yeah.
And all of us, we agree that humans are responsible for AI responses. I appreciate how actually you present different roles for the strength from human aspect and then the strength from AI aspect. Um, so again, there was another question about how can we ensure that data protection is not violated using AI. I think you can comment both this question.
Yeah. Yeah,
Exactly.
just before you go into that, Chana, this might be the last question because I'm also looking at time so that we can round up very soon. But so please do justice to the question. But that doesn't mean if any questions come in, we can handle it. So guys, we know how we do these. Send your comments to us or questions to us. We will handle it, or we can actually channel it to a channel. Of course, you now connect. You have connected with a channel, I believe. So you can also definitely ask that question to a channel straight away. So to that question, please go ahead and answer that. Thank you.
There is one question this is one of the most asked question. I really would like to answer this question, Pete. It is from Samuel. Samuel, I see. My question, which other AI tool will you recommend aside like Chat GPT, right? Most asked question. And there are so many people who always ask this in all my, so this particular Gen AI adoption, it's like, it is, it is so much in the market with so many tools. Yeah. One of them is Anthropic Cloud. I love it. And it really stands out. Claude is widely considered as one of the strongest. So it's not like I'm just trying to advertise any company or any tool. Yeah. So don't take that. But it's based on the complex reasoning, the large, maybe the document analysis, and how exactly I have been using Claude very recently and I have seen it. So Claude is definitely one of the tool what I really love it. Microsoft Copilot, I use it in my office because my office has that with Microsoft. So it is helping a lot. So Copilot, because it is integrated with Teams, Outlook, Excel, PowerPoint, SharePoint, yeah, everything, the entire Microsoft tool. That particular workflow helps in the fastest adoption. Google Gemini, oh wow. So Google Gemini, I definitely use Google Gemini, and I have recently done my Gen AI leader training as well, certification. So that is also very interesting to do, specifically when you are actually getting your video or image, all those stuffs created with the large context analysis, right? So there are so many that you can keep going on and on, but these are certain which I really use and I love it. But if you are like into the workflow, if you would like to create workflow, go for Vertex AI. Try Vertex AI as well. If you would like to do the PMO and knowledge management, try ChatGPT with Copilot. That definitely works out. I have done a lot. If you are more into multi-model AI, right, generating everything together, whether it is video, audio, speech, so go for Gemini. So lots to explore in the market.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Like I said, you can still reach out for more information around, questions, comments, suggestions, and stuff like that. All right. Cool. On the screen right now, we've got the PDU code. I believe you can see it for PMI members who would like to claim their 1.5
Yes, we can see it.
PDUs. Thank you. That you have spent with us. You spent 1.5 hours here, and it's really a good time spent together. You will agree with me on that. So please go ahead. But don't forget to rate the webinar when you claim your PDUs. Now, I'll also need to stress this. We've got quite a number of people in the community. You will be receiving an email that has the recording sometime very soon. Now, when you go on the YouTube channel where the recording is, again, subscribe to it. Like the video. That's how we know that it's engaging. But the promise we have is we'll bring people within our community that will give you very good insight that you can apply to your daily work or daily life to become a better person or a better professional. But again, please uh, uh, do well by uh, just engage with us on the social media handles which has just been shared. All right, we believe that you already have the PDUs right now, and so next, what do we have next? we have an exciting session coming up next. Now, I don't know about you. This is one area that I struggle with personally. Regaining your balance and strengthening your resilience to avoid stress and burnout. As project professionals, we work so hard. We carry the weight of projects, of programs, or even if you work at the enterprise level or portfolios sometimes, and that weighs us down. So some of us discharge even before we're able to recharge our batteries. So you don't want to miss the next session. Natalie will be here to take us through how we can regain our balance, how we can strengthen our resilience, how we can avoid stress, ultimately avoid burnout. So, um, next month, June 17, will be the session for that one. So, don't forget to actually enroll for that one. I'm looking forward to having you in that session. So just to let you know, every third Wednesday of every month, we try to show up, and we will continue to do that. We'll bring valuable insight to you. And then, of course, let's continue to engage. Let's continue to help ourselves or each other. Let's continue to deliver value to the marketplace. And I think I will hand over quickly to just 1 minute to Inform, I believe, to take us through to just close the session today.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Pete. I hope we can all hear me.
Yes, please.
All right. Thank you so much. Today was really power-packed. Someone even in the comments had to say there's a lot of terminologies he has to search, like to understand what is really going on here. Thank you so much. I would really like to sincerely thank our speaker, Achana, for sharing her knowledge, insights, and valuable perspectives with us. This discussion is really broad, and it's something that we could all, apply in our daily workplace. And it's something that me too personally I have to consider, because before now I used to think that AI was going to take my job, but now I see how I could use it to optimize my work. So I really want to thank you, Achana, for the knowledge you have spread around, and how you can use opportunities like this to impact our workplace. And special thanks to Mr. Pete for this opportunity. Thank you to everyone as well who participated, who contributed to today's session. We really appreciate your time and engagement. So we'll be seeing you next in our next disciplined Agile meetup. And we hope that the knowledge we share today will inspire further learning and application in our respective fields. So have a wonderful day, everyone. See you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Yep.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.